was sunny. I left the house in a t-shirt and then literally hit the motorway.
And then as soon as you go out, the wind, yeah, I'd like to say, I'm going to
alluded to, that actually the Gents team will be disappointed not to have finished top. I think they missed out by a point. I think it was as close as that in the end to Hillhead, so congratulations to Hillhead. We'll see them in the Prem next year for indoor, but it's one of those, when it comes to a playoff game, you're obviously playing second bottom in the division above, so it's all down to kind of that mentality side of things. Like the performance, it's not as important as the result in that situation. You want to perform well, you obviously want to go and smash teams to pieces in these games, but also it's recognising that in these moments it's more about delivering in the moment. And as you saw from the emotion of Steve McKenzie then, like that was a big goal and you could feel it. And you said there was 2 minutes left on the clock. It did feel like a week. Just kind of watching it, we were obviously preparing for our game, which was after, but yeah, it certainly felt a long time. Definitely, as you saw, they had a couple of opportunities to score as well, Dunfermline. So yeah, it was definitely a bit of a nail-biting end to that game after what was a strong first half from Uddingston. Dunfermline clawed the way back into it, and then Steve McKenzie popping up with the winner a couple of minutes from time.
It's your first sighter of indoor hockey. We've seen a little bit of outdoor. Something that in the winter months you'd be persuaded to take part in?
I reckon it's a bit intense for me. I can't run that fast. No, the ball going that fast at me, I'm alright.
Look, no recruit there, Gareth. I'm sorry. We'll do our best. We'll keep the proselytising going and see where we go.
We've got another 9 months until we start again, so
plenty of time to build your fitness, Jack. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. The good news is that is the Gents ones on the pitch. Gents 2s sealed out. A pretty convincing win from what we saw, obviously.
Yeah, definitely looked pretty convincing. It was an edgy first half. I think it was quite even going into half time. I believe it actually was. It was 2-2, and then just kind of started to pull away from the Edinburgh Uni 3s team there. A team that's very close to them in the league, so it'd be good to get that result under the belt. Keeps tabs with the top 2 as well, and allows our Gents to carry on fighting into next week, looking for potential promotion and just keep performing as well as they are.
It lets us as well while the guys warm up, have a little bit of a discussion. We've already kind of prefaced it, Jack. It's about to get very tense out on the pitch. It's about to get very tense in here. 5 teams, 3 places, all get resolved today. The top 6 will be sorted. Let's take a quick look at the table and just see exactly what's about to go on. For ESM, out of contention for a top 6 spot, but unbelievably, Uddingston 4 wins from 10, and actually probably one of the better sides placed to try and seal this. It's a pretty simple mathematical equation for Tom and Co. Winning, you've got a very strong chance of being in, goal difference working in their favour. Jack is someone newer to all this. The top 6 is something perhaps familiar to you, though, from a footballing standpoint, and we've seen plenty of interest and intrigue in how that's gone recently. Something that's good for hockey to have these days before the final day, where you've got these little run-ins and a lot of drama happening in the middle of the table.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, more familiar with football, and it does seem very, very familiar. And all teams will be hoping to get that top 6, and obviously that does change the dynamics of our season if you get that. So yeah, let's just hope that Uddingston can get a good win here today and hopefully get that top 6 spot.
And Gareth, Director of Hockey, looking at the table with aims and aspirations from the start of the season. Obviously top 6 will be very nice indeed. What's the recourse, even if results go our way here, that even if it doesn't go our way, we end up bottom 6 even with the win?
Yeah, I think it then takes you into the confidence of the second half of the season. As you can kind of look at the league table there, you've got kind of Kelburn, Grove that necessarily maybe haven't picked up the points that they probably would have wanted from this season. But it's more about, say, if Uddingston do win and we don't quite make that top 6, 15 points, it gives you that bit of confidence, and then it'll be a bit of a reset in terms of actually can we win the bottom 6? Can we be 7th placed? Kind of the best of the rest is probably the best way to describe it. And as we're kind of all mentioning, there's a couple of games kind of around the grounds today, as it were, that that could decide who finishes where. And you've got Clydesdale versus Dundee, which is again very similar feel to this game. You've got a team in that middle of the pack against the team that's out of the equation. And then you've got Grange top, unbeaten, conceded single digits with the goals. They're going to be hard to score against, and they're playing Hill Head. So I think you mentioned it as well. The big thing there is goal difference. All the teams around them have got a minus goal difference, whilst Uddingston there are a +4. And actually, looking down the goals conceded, fourth best defensive record in the league. So and Nick in goal has been a big credit to that with some of the saves that he's pulled off this season, and the defensive unit of Stephen, of Jed, and the other defenders in that group. It shows that they can defend well, and actually their strong defensive performance to keep out ESM today is going to be required.
Certainly a lot. I really can't, honestly, I don't know how everyone else is feeling. As I've been preparing and looking at this, looking at the permutations of what can happen in Verleith, what's on it, and the other game involved where one of them can secure a top 6 spot. I'm certainly feeling pretty excited about what's to come, and the men's Premiership delivering a really dramatic day. Let's have a look at the players on the park though, and how they'll look to influence things. We've already played lip service to Nick Hadlin in goal, had a pretty good time at indoor at different moments as well. You'll have seen in the videos previously, but it's kind of I always feel it's a bit unfair in a way to focus on him rather than other people, but Stephen McKenzie is captain, heart of the defence, and trying to pull his team forward from the back of the pack. Such an important figure, and more captain's duties required to basically lead from the back rather than the front and pull his team forward. Jack, a bit of pressure with the armband, but from what you've seen in terms of Uddingston Hockey Club, Stephen, good leader?
Yeah, definitely. And my last game in Coventry, I was next to Stephen for the first 2 quarters, and even just when he's talking about the club, you can see the passion there, and that always does help. So yeah, definitely a good candidate for the armband, and hopefully, like you said, they can lead for the back.
Well, we are approaching getting things started. Obviously a little bit of a slower start than was billed, meant to be underway about 10 minutes ago. Obviously just the late running of the games prior means we're just backing on to getting things ready here. For ESM, Gareth, we'll go back to thinking about kind of the table and things that happen after today once your top 6, bottom 6 is secured. Say for Uddingston's sake we're joining ESM in that bottom 6. Would you position ourselves, ESM and one of whoever also doesn't make it today? That's kind of the battle now, is to use that opportunity being bottom 6. Okay, disappointment. I'm sure for every club that's finishing in the bottom 6, it'd be a disappointment by the today, but it opens up an opportunity to play a little bit more free-flowing hockey. You're not going up against the Granges, these guys who are well on top in the league and pose a severe challenge. You actually get to play a bit of hockey and express yourself a little bit more.
I think where the Gents have been really well actually against those top sides that you mentioned, Grange, Edinburgh Uni, Wildcats, they have been close and contested fixtures. If the Gents manage to go top 6 today, they'll relish the opportunity. I think the Edinburgh Uni game was a very close game. I believe it was a 2-1 if I remember rightly. It was a very close game. Grange was a 4-2. So I think they'll be relishing the opportunity if they manage to take on, I suppose, the big 3 as it were in the men's league. That they'll be excited and happy to give that challenge a go. I think if you end up in that bottom 6, it's the motivation to then go, right, what does the second half of the season look like? And actually, instead of playing the Granges, the Wildcats, even the teams like Inverleith, who are a very solid side, not necessarily in that top 3 as we've alluded to, but then it's like you then have to get into a different mindset with teams in the bottom half, and it's not a case of, right, we can fight for a playoff spot. It's now a case of, actually, if we win here, we're 12 points clear of bottom, we're 9 points clear of second bottom. It then actually starts to think about, right, okay, we'll go out and win the games and look to compete and look to kind of assert our dominance, but then it allows you to start thinking maybe more towards next season. And as we can kind of see on the park, actually, this is the exciting thing about Uddingston. It is a young squad. Other teams kind of in and around that are slightly more experienced, and actually the youth and the excitement that this programme has on the gents one side and the ladies ones, which I'm sure will be mentioned on Thursday, it's an exciting prospect to see where these Uddingston programmes go in the next 2, 3, 4 years. And I think you've always got to start somewhere, and this is kind of year one of that long-term journey, and the plan will be 2, 3 years that we become a consistent top 6 side on both sides, and then start looking at knocking on the door for those European spots.
We'll take a little bit of time while the guys finish their warm-ups as well, just to reflect on the L1, seeing as you're mentioning them in a similar situation, slightly more complex with the games you've still got to play. But in a way, your task is simple. The weight on the shoulders is a similar weight. Win all 3, and you'll feel very confident about being top 6.
Yes, there is one result that we need to go a particular way to make things a touch easier. GHK vs Grange, which I believe is scheduled for tomorrow. A certain result, and I'm not going to say which one we need to happen here to make things a bit easier, because I'm sure it would be a great game between 2 current top 6 sides at the moment. But yeah, so we've got obviously our first game against Glasgow Uni on Thursday night. I do love a game under the lights, and the last one certainly, even though it was only a 1-0 against Hillhead, it certainly created a lot of drama elsewhere on the pitch. It was certainly a tough battle, and Glasgow Uni will be no different, and they're hot off a relatively strong books season as well, and I think from their point of view they'll be a little bit disappointed that they haven't taken their books performance into the Scottish leagues, and then obviously we break it up with a little bit of cup. Cup quarter-final against Edinburgh Calla here next Saturday, and then obviously we drag back into the league with Clydesdale Western, obviously a formidable side on the ladies' side, regardless to their personnel. It's a stonewalt of women's hockey in Scotland is Clydesdale Western, and then finish off with a nice little road trip to Inverleith, and hopefully the pitch isn't frozen like it was last time.
Well, surely not. There's no.
I don't know.
No March
crossing my fingers on that one.
Cold sting, is there? No, it's a tense time, but I think it's exactly what you want in terms of sport as entertainment. And it's sometimes forgotten. The competitive nature very important. It's also an entertainment arm to it, and certainly for both yourselves and Tom and the players down there today, that there's a certain amount of entertainment they take from it, even though I'm sure the tension and the stress levels are a little bit higher than normal.
Of course, and these are the games where you really get to see what the squad, the character of the squad is like in particular. You can play any league game, and it's actually when it gets to business end, right? What do we need? What do we need to go out? And as we've said, a win, and you've got a strong chance of getting in scenario with the gents ones here today. That it kind of sets your task out, and then it becomes actually, how do we achieve that? What does it look like on the pitch? If it's not going quite to plan, how do we get out of that kind of spell? And this is where over the next 70 minutes of hockey, it's going to be quite exciting to see how, not just the team but individuals, how they thrive under that pressure, and if they're actually starting to book, how the team around them start to pick them back up and into that environment.
Almost ready to get things started now as well. Little bit of a delay, like we say, but pleasure for you to stick with us up to this stage, and the 4 quarters of hockey that await us. A real important time for Uddingston's G1s. As we say, the task here is relatively simple: win, and you'll put yourself with a chance through. Is Gardner gets us underway. Mackenzie. Now Derek is Uddingston. Initial probes trying the right hand side. And Jack, this will be a game where Uddingston really want to express themselves in the first couple of minutes, make a statement, and put themselves in control and try and remove elements of doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, start it off strong, and also I think it is important to control the tempo, set that you want to control the game, and don't let the opposition sort of overwhelm you in that first 2 to 5 minutes.
Is ESM in control at the moment? First long driven pass through the heart, well cut out. Derek can't quite keep that one in. I'm not going to say you've come to take this curse at Jack, but that's since you've said it's important as well. ESM all in control and chance at the edge of the D, but really well marshalled there from McGregor and Wilson. To carry this forward. Again, finding a little bit of room on the right. Can't quite thread the eye of the needle there.
How hard is it to adapt from playing indoors, Gareth, then going to outdoors in such a big game?
That's a very good question. I think indoor allows you to focus on certain skills. So one of the big rules of indoor is you can't lift the ball except for shooting. So straight away into outdoor, you can obviously have the 3D skill and the opportunity to do that. It normally takes a session or two just to get back into a couple of little things, but once you get back up to speed. So I know the lads have had a couple of friendlies and a few training sessions now. So there might be the odd thing where you kind of see actually that's an indoor-based thing, but by now it's a case of actually we're now back flowing into hopefully what will be a strong outdoor performance.
So we're not expecting any passes off the sideboards, are we, Gareth?
I mean, they might claim that it's the case if it goes off the sideline and go, oh, I thought there was a board there, but hopefully not anyway.
Aerial again, both sides favouring this near side. The aerial though, too much.
And I suppose as we've kind of seen over a number of home games with the Gents ones, they do favour attacking down this right hand side. It does tend to be a trend in high level hockey, just in terms of everything's on your forehand. You can connect forehand to forehand. It makes the opportunities a little bit easier and actually harder to defend, because actually you're then defending your left foot space, which, as you can see by just the way you hold your stick, you tend to hold it obviously forehand to the right, so attacking that left foot space makes it a lot harder from a defensive point of view to defend if your body shape's not in the right place.
Yes, quick turnover as well, and it's their turn to try and push down their right side. Driven in through the D, well fielded, and the attempted clearance will bring the short corner though. A little bit unfortunate there with the miss hit, trying to get that one cleared.
Yeah, just looking at the sideline space as well. When he looked to clear, nobody from Uddingston had come over to kind of identify the space. Didn't offer an easy pass out, so Gardner feeling like he had to kind of play that ball out hard and long, just to try and clear the lines, as it were, rather than look for a steady build-up from the back. So it's just how Uddingston probably looking at how we support the people on the ball in our defensive areas a little bit more, just to give that wider option to then look to go and attack the other way.
First short corner. An important one for Uddingston to keep at bay. This would be the exact opposite of the start that Tom and Co would like. Sent in, little trick move, but the shot flashes wide. Sharp in, take a breath, Gareth. You were starting to feel the tension?
Yeah, any form of movement off the top. I think when it comes to short corners in the men's game, it is predominantly flick heavy off the top. So you see a lot of guys lining up for drag flicks. So on the Uddingston side, you probably see Jed, Finn, and Cami look to start to line up for flicks on the top. But when there's any form of slip play, but also actually the space that the runners went into from ESM, actually some very good lines in there, and just a whisker away of getting a very nice contact on it.
Pressure now put on Uddingston to respond. Tarek Halliday will ride the challenges. Into the D goes. Feed that across. ESM regather. Happy to hold this one close down in the corner. They will get the outcome that will help bail them out. A big long drive down the channels where space is developing. And Uddingston a little bit too eager in the defence there. ESM trying to carry into danger. Forced just to hold.
Yeah, you can see ESM looking to commit a lot of numbers forward in this attack. If you look at the numbers in the circle, they've got 3 deep, especially around the goalkeeper. So definitely looking to obscure Nick's vision, but also create those leads out from deep to then be able to pick something up around top circle to deliver to one of their 2 teammates in that space.
Little misplaced pass, trying to play out of defence. It draws pressure, also draws the umpire's whistle. Certainly a couple of signs there that, and in the last couple of minutes, that ESM really trying to pick their moments to launch this down and through channels. Happy to hold at the back and wait for the space to open up. Some of that's gambling on the fact that Uddingston kind of need to commit to making sure this game gets won, and that at some point in the game that commitment will lead to more and more risks. Absolutely.
Quarter 1, especially first kind of competitive outdoor game pre-indoor, so we're talking what kind of back end of November was the last competitive fixture. It's just going to be first quarter for both teams, finding their feet, finding their way into the game, kind of talking about the stuff that they've gone through at training and actually start putting it onto pitch and into action, and then starting to get into that mindset of where do we need to adjust to then start attacking potential spaces that they see live on pitch.
Seen a message through. We've got an update on the Clydesdale Wanderers score. Dundee Wanderers take the victory on that one. Makes the task reasonably simple here. I believe that makes it win and in. Very nice to have for Uddingston to focus in line with Hillhead Grange game. I know we speak about top of the table, how strong Grange are, but
Never say never, like congratulations to Dundee on that result. It definitely changes the permutations here, and as we've mentioned in the pre-match, Inverleith versus Watsonians, regardless to that result, provided a win here for the blue and yellow, then one of those will fall out of that top 6 spot. So yeah, it does make things a little bit clearer on that front from a Uddingston perspective.
Campbell, most withdrawn, the driven pass, it will bounce kindly in Wilson. Try and pull this inside, Ben Young, bit of space in the area, take it on himself, draws a good save out of the keeper. First real sighter for Uddingston. And Gareth, it's exactly from that right flank, bringing it inside, that Uddingston find their first opportunity. We've seen it coming.
Yeah, and as we kind of mentioned, it's definitely kind of a, if you want to call it a trademark of how Uddingston are playing under Tom, it's definitely favouring the right-hand side attack to look to create those opportunities through the middle, and when the shoulder of the circle just opens up there, then you've got a good opportunity to go. And yeah, good save by the goalkeeper to not just save it, but also to kind of clear it into space as well.
Halfway through quarter 1. Every bit the first game back at outdoor we've come to expect. Possession turned over again for ESM this time, and again, like we say, happy to try and play out, puts themselves in a little bit of bother as Young nearly forces the turnover. They're down in the corner, they'll try and find their way back out. Driven pass, Haxon gets a good touch on that. Nope. An apology from the ESM player, they're not aware that play had gone dead, but
hit an ESM player's foot just here, and I think Fraser Bell, near side umpire, was just playing no advantage game, so just going back for the original infringement.
Neil and Campbell is very happy to move it about the back and just pick their moment and find their moment in Mackenzie.
I think we've seen two different tempos of game wanting to be played here. Uddingston very much wanting to be on the front foot, wanting to get the ball back in play and playing quickly. ESM happy to build it up, happy to take a little bit of time, setting up, getting their structures right, and then starting to look to play the ball. So the contrast in paces at the moment, it'll be interesting to see if any of those give a bit later on, and whether ESM start to try and speed the game up, or whether Uddingston slow the game down at the touch.
Certainly has that feel of two teams trying to impose those contrasting systems, like you say, and some of that I'm sure is not helped by this being the first outdoor game and don't have that rhythm back just yet to try and force things. Is a little bit of Stramash in the centre trying to break through for Uddingston. Aerial will connect as McNeil not able to get a stick touch on it. ESM into the D. Show too much and between McNeil and Campbell. Uddingston regather.
Very good baseline defending there. Can be quite easy to either plant your feet and get your feet in the way of that, but very well avoided and very solid tackle to bring that ball away.
Andy Duck just judged in the infraction there. ESM explore their right flank. Pushing forward now. We'll try and work it D by McNeil. First to it. Clearance not complete. And the contact on the edge of the D from Campbell. Will draw the short corner.
Yeah, it looked like there was contact from Jay Campbell there, but I think actually the ESM players managed to put it on his foot as he's going through. As we just watch the replay here. So Cammy just plays it out straight to an ESM player, and I think it just hits Jed's foot inside the circle, and I think that's what the corner was given for.
Second chance for ESM from the short already. Had you a little bit nervous, Gareth. Hopefully this one for Uddingston Stick slightly more simple to field. Sent in. Looks like the drag flick driven straight at the feet of Hadland. And the return will loop out and over.
Good defending for a long corner there. In any situation, defending a short corner, like straight away, you've got attacking player overload. You've obviously got ESM choosing to put 8 round the circle, and then obviously can only defend with 4 plus the goalkeeper. So straight away, having that overload of players, it's a very good, and you see it in international hockey quite a lot. It's a very good opportunity for teams to try and open up and try and score that goal.
Another good parry there from Hadland in the meantime, but one you'd expect him to make as ESM keep the pressure on as we approach the end of quarter one. Certainly the visitors imposing themselves a little bit more at the moment. Again, finding space down this. They are right, but not for the first time from either team. Are just a little bit over-eager in the carry and out of play. So a reminder, if you're joining us late, the task for Uddingston to secure a spot in the men's Premiership top 6 appears to be pretty simple. Get this game won, and the spot is ours. At the moment though, it is visitors on top and causing problems now though. A chance breaking from deep for Uddingston to cause something, but pulled back by the umpires. Blast of a whistle. Campbell. Good options to survey, just up short. Another chance again as Uddingston don't like what they see through the centre. Gardner. Getting a whole lot of time to work something there, but how about now?
Yeah, ESM definitely setting up in a more zonal system and just allowing Uddingston to play the ball around the back, and then when it goes into pockets or down the line, that's when ESM are looking to jump on the ball and try and win ball in there, rather than just jumping out with the front players and just allowing Uddingston just a little bit of time on the ball, but then ESM looking to win it in those pockets.
Campbell now again trying this far side. Again, happy to move it back and forth and wait for those opportunities. That ESM defence not really opening up too much. Halliday far more thrown than I'm sure he would like to be, and can't help but turn over. ESM with a quick pass and move. Get another nibble at this, edge of the D to strike. Not the cleanest passage of play in the end. A lot of good movement there, Gareth, but just the when the opening comes, not the contact required.
You can see the intent from ESM there. They're definitely looking, I think, as we call it, kind of like short, sharp passes, little passing triangles, kind of connecting with each other, and then just that kind of final delivery into the circle before they ultimately win it back on the top. I think that's the one that kind of broke that play down there.
Perfect timing, by the way, to run all the way through just in time for the blast of the whistle to signify the end of quarter one. And well, it was a quarter. Jack, we'll start with you. We'll give you the nice easy one of do we just forgive the teams for taking 17 minutes to get back used to outdoor?
Yeah, I think we covered earlier the change of going from indoor to outdoor in like covered there. Maybe we can see it. Quite a slow game, and like Gareth kind of said, both teams trying to implement their strategies, and we'll see if they change those strategies, as obviously no teams have scored, so have they worked, have they not worked, so yeah.
And then obviously as well, I guess you're expecting energy levels. And Gareth, I know as coach you want to have a little bit of control over where the energy is spent and at what time in the game it's spent, but in a day like today, that's one that you're expecting just to keep ramping up and up and up as the scores stay the same way.
Yeah, especially as I'm sure the lads and Tom will know that a win in your in situation, they will have discussed that in some form of training. So they know basically, right, we have to get one result in this. If we want to finish top 6, we have to get a result in this game. So if it stays like this at half time, you might start to see a couple more risky things happen. If it's still this at 3/4 time, then actually it will be a case of it could become a very open end-to-end game in that final quarter if it stays quite close and quite tight, whether it be as the current scoreline or a different one. But I think the longer that it stays a draw, the more edgy things could potentially get in the later stages.
So what we're saying is even if quarter 1, 2 and 3 don't deliver, stick around, especially because quarter 4 surely will. There's Campbell. They'll break down the right flank to try and kick-start this quarter 2. And Wilson, plenty in red ahead. It's one that just, it's a little touch of the stick to put that one out of play. Darragh, the left side now. Uddingston trying to force their way into the shooting circle and find something useful. It's not quite connecting the passes. But able to stifle any ESM quick counter.
With the pressure around him, I think just you get told if you can get into the, just chuck it to the next layer. So if you're on the edge of the circle, can you chuck it to somebody around that P-spot space? And as you can see, that's what they're trying to do. It's just that there wasn't anybody in that space to then they have to jump onto it. But it was the right idea to look to exploit that space.
Oh, so nearly a cute touch there from Alex McGregor. Could have redirected that just right. ESM defender alive to it.
How difficult is it to score in that box when it is so congested? When you've got a defence that is set up to defend that goal and trying to break through that?
Yeah, that's when it becomes the mindset of the forward. So some will just look, if the ball's fired in quickly, you look for that deflection. If the ball's in a little bit slower, then you've got to keep your back, kind of pick it up and then look to kind of either wrap and try and score it or create that momentum itself. You tend to see in kind of deep defence in particular that the defenders, there'll be more defenders than attackers, so it always becomes a little bit harder, but that's when you actually, if you can create that little bit of space and just open something up, you end up shooting from the shoulder through 2 or 3 people, then those are the kind of little moments of magic, as it were, that can suddenly unlock a deep defence, regardless of how deep and how packed it is.
CSM with Phil's considerations right now is that try and camp out. Miss the sticky end of the pitch for Uddingston. That sort of brief. Hard out. Guess the chance just to advance there. Paxton. Campbell and Russell able to exchange at the back and look for the right moment. Little step over. It's well gathered by ESM, and now
yeah, the step over or the trap door is a good idea if there's somebody calling it behind, because then actually they're the one that wants that ball through.
Just a little bit of a misread, but Garner back involved and clearing lines there. Wilson battling hard, good turnover. Trying to help teammates break out. Spears, Halliday, a little touch on. 2 of them trying to rumble their way through. Like a couple of burly pandas. I tell you, Gareth, they'll appreciate that.
Okay.
Mackenzie, instructions across to McNeil as he exchanges passes with Campbell. Just trying to find ways to draw ESM forward and manipulate the space. Leeson struggling with that a little bit at the moment, but now Wilson, they find a way through the centre. McNeil can ride the challenge, and again driving through into the deep, feeds it across. Spears forces a good save. Another chance for Spears. Feel the heart in the mouth as Uddingston denied twice in quick succession. McNeil doing his best to try and keep the pressure on, being forced away and away.
Yeah, there's a couple of goalkeeper saves in there, and I believe the last one was actually picked by a defender on the line. So kind of definitely knocking on the door here from Uddingston, and it's just seeing whether they can pull off that little bit of magic that we were talking about and unlock this defence.
Struggling for a territory and possession. It's a little bit of a change in tempo and a little bit of change in energy, Jack.
Yeah, it must be good for the mindset of Uddingston with this high tempo, like you said, and just quite a few chances created in the last couple of minutes.
ESM though in control, trying to play their way out and get a reprieve. Couple rotations ready for Uddingston. Luke Gardner and Ben Young both ready to come on as ESM make a little switch of their own.
Uddingston have definitely had the stronger stronger opening 6 minutes or so to this quarter. Goalkeeper pulling a number of saves and creating a number of opportunities, as we've kind of talked about. So they'll be definitely buoyed by this start, and hoping to carry it on into for the rest of the second quarter, and hopefully either create some more goal scoring opportunities, maybe win a corner, or get the ball in the back of the net.
For ESM, I guess it's perhaps just trying to stay in control of as much of the game as you can, and keep possession touch and keep those chances a minimum, knowing that as the tension and the nerves kick in, it'll open up a little bit more for yourselves as well. As I think they found one little flick through, Hadland forced into a good save. Uddingston now, we're starting to see a little bit more of the basketball-esque hockey starting to develop in quarter two. Wilson forward, end to end. Halliday bring that under control and sweep it across. Great parry. It's Young, and then this follow-up goes over. Another double chance.
Yeah, fantastic build up there from Uddingston to kind of go from end to end. Nick called into action just from that long ball from this left hand side. I think it was from ESM's number 8. Lovely ball into the circle, just needed that little bit of a touch. But then Nick being able to just get on the ground and clear it to an Uddingston teammate, and then from there build up, and Ben Young having a good couple of opportunities to open the score.
Gareth, that's sometimes your fear, that fellow goalkeeper, you get down, you make the big save, that you actually get it clear as well to a point where you're not immediately back in action. There's a little bit of contact there. Time off from the umpire, is it? It's a sore one.
Yeah, to go back to your question around the goalkeeping side of things, you definitely want to, sometimes you can make the big save and it just goes straight back to the attacker, which is always a frustrating one. But I think Nick did well to kind of get down on the ground. He was obviously able to just parry the initial ball in, and then kind of just use the stick just before the ESM player was able to get to him to be able to clear that kind of in the space through the middle of the circle, and then kind of be able to build up the attack from there.
Just a little stoppage allows passing on of a couple of instructions for both sides. Guess for Tom, the message pretty simple: more of the same, and you'll get your rewards.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Definitely, the build-up side of things is looking tidier, and it's definitely been able to build up from deep to create the opportunities, not just winning ball high up and be able to go. Can you be a threat from your own 16s?
And that will be Uddingston's first short there. Again, that quick play down the right flank, opening up the opportunity.
Lovely work down the right hand side to create the opportunity, and now we see Cammy, we see Jed, we see Finn as well, all flicking options here for Uddingston. So it will be interesting to see what the first call is.
I guess if you're coach as well, you get the chance to pass out a couple of instructions, leads to a short corner quickly. You have to feel you've had some good hand in that.
Yeah, sometimes you think that, sometimes it is a coincidence, and sometimes as a coach you'll claim it even though it is a coincidence, but let's see how this goes.
Here's Campbell, the target, big sweep, finds the net. Uddingston take a lead in quarter two, and after the chances they've had, that will feel like a big reward for the effort.
Absolutely, and as we saw, kind of ESM definitely worked themselves way into Q1. At the start of this quarter, it has been very much Uddingston attacking kind of in waves, as it were, kind of a number of goal-scoring opportunities. Goalkeepers pulled off some cracking saves, and Jed there just being able to whip that drag flick around the first runner and kind of left ESM postman with not much hope of being able to pick that one out.
I think it must be a degree of frustration for the keeper. You put in a couple of good saves, you try and bail your defence out, but with a flick like that, I don't think there's too much you can expect from him.
Yeah, I'd probably have to watch it again just to have a look at kind of some the PCD shape and goalkeeper positioning. But yeah, kind of on an initial instance, it is a good quality flick. I think there's always to say nothing is unsavable. You'll always go back and have a look at what could have done this, I could have done that. But in the moment, it was certainly it was a good flick. It was obviously, as we said, kind of wrapped round at the top, so it was able to create a different angle rather than just a straight flick. Yeah, just opened up a different angle that just unlock the ESM PCD routine.
Your coach analyst hat showing very much there in that. Yeah, nothing is unsavable. Oh, a chance for Erskine to make it too quickly. Slide in, McGregor can't quite force it through. That was another big opening for Uddingston.
Yeah, it was picked on the line there by the ESM defender and just an Uddingston player on the floor. I think there might have been just a little bit of contact at the back end of that. But yeah, again, another fantastic opportunity for Uddingston to potentially create a second goal within the matter of minutes.
Does that first goal then sort of persuade Uddingston to keep on with that high pressure, because it has eventually worked?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's a case of, right, if we want to get a second goal to kill the game off quickly, then it's a case of, yeah, more of the same. Or it might be you then go through waves where it's like, actually, the next couple of minutes, sit back, draw them on to create this space in behind. So it just depends on what they've talked about tactically to decide. I think normally the default is more of the same, because I think the good old phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they'll definitely be, as I said, buoyed by that. But again, talking earlier from a footballing context, it's when you're most vulnerable when you've just scored. So actually to then go and get another goal scoring opportunity within a couple of minutes of scoring the first one, that just kind of settles it back down into a bit more of that open game again.
Good interrupt there from Captain Mackenzie. I'm sure the atmospheric mic's picked up a lot of cheering there from teammates and bench. Just about unsettling and trying to take control there, and Andrew Doherty climbing highest. Haxton want to feed this into D. Young, a little bit of a missed swipe, and Doherty draws a good save out of the ESM keeper.
Again, ESM's goalie is having a very good game, making a number of good saves, but also most of these saves are going into space. There's only a couple that have gone back to the attacker for that second attempt. So some really good movement and some really good saves by the goalkeeper so far.
Touch on from Strachan, just carries it away from him. And ESM under the cosh for a good chunk of quarter two now. Back in control, trying to force a way through to an equaliser. For your ESM, Gareth, this is starting. It's taking a little bit longer, perhaps, than they'd like, but it's starting to see the kind of response you want after the goal. Just get control of the ball, slow things down, and reassert yourself back over the game. Yeah,
and I think, as we said, the way that ESM have been looking to play in quarter one and playing a lot of long ball early to try and actually, you can see now that actually they're just trying to play around a little bit more around the back to kind of start to create angles, a bit shorter passing. Just get a feel, get their foot back in the game to then start maybe going back to their original tactic of playing slightly longer and kind of, again, as we saw, a couple of effective aerials from this left-hand near side in that first quarter. They haven't chucked one yet in this quarter, so again, it's just getting that confidence back to kind of feel like you're in a position that you're back in the game to then go back to, suppose, what your default game plan is rather than, I suppose, your reassurance plan at the moment.
A bit loose from Jed Campbell, pass puts himself in trouble, but it's he across to try and make amends and force the turnover. Now, try and carry this forward and on. Right to the first challenge. Still going, Campbell. Got the goal, looking for more. Young. He's trying to try and carry things forward, but can't quite find a way to break through. Driven back in from Haxton. Doherty trying to find something.
ESM now a couple of times have just been caught just playing into a flat stick of Uddingston on these clearances. It's just adding more pressure onto them, which is just allowing Uddingston to come back at them a bit quicker than they'd probably intend.
What it has been doing is allowing Uddingston to keep the pressure on in these final moments of quarter 2. Obviously, just a reminder for those tuning in for maybe the first time, we obviously don't have access to the umpires' watches, so when they stop time, our clock will keep running on. So there's a little bit extra to play beyond as tempers and frustration start to flare on the pitch. It looks like it's all settling back down again. But like I say, with this all run on, a little bit beyond what perhaps you expect in terms of just hitting 17:30 and going dead. Umpire take the chance to have a word. No further action needed and get things back started. Campbell. So it's Haxton close to the right. Just creep forward. Time off again this time. Umpire, another chat to be had. Got to say, as we have a nice wee close up there of that discussion, it's always a nice thing for hockey that the relationship between players and umpires are a lot more muted, a lot more calm and controlled than perhaps other sports. I won't name any.
Yeah. No, it seemed like a conversation because, as you saw, there was a foul there. The ESM player picked up the ball, and I think the conversation was just along the there was no reason to pick up the ball. I think was the long and short of that conversation. So yeah, and it's good that you can have these conversations rather than just having to resort to cards. The more game time where it's 11v11, it just keeps it. It's quite an even game. Obviously, Uddingston on top in this quarter, but you don't want to little things like picking up a ball or stuff like be the difference, and kind of you having people in the sin bin.
And a little bit of just common sense of, you know, it's a clear mistake. No one's tried to gain advantage from that. Just let the mistake be the mistake.
Yeah, obviously there's a potential argument that if you pick up the ball, you can't attack when someone's got the ball in hand. So it's whether it's deemed to be accidental or actually is it a ploy to kind of deliberately slow it down. And I think that's what the conversation there from the umpire was in regards to actually, hang on, you have no reason to pick up the ball, so just don't.
In these cases, are those chats to the ref treat you as a warning, and then next time it will be a card, or is it more lenient?
Yeah, no, I think if you've warned them once, then definitely the cards will start to come out. And I don't know how many cards you've seen in hockey so far. So in hockey, there's 3. So in football, you've just got a yellow and a red. Whilst in hockey, you also have a green card, which is 2 minutes in the bin, and a yellow is either 5 or 10 minutes in the bin, and then obviously red is get off the pitch.
And that's half time. Uddingston 1 up as we get to the end of quarter 2, doing exactly the job that's required, Gareth. A tense game, as we expected. But for the Gents ones, the short corner has been the route to goal so often, and no surprise that it's delivered here again today. No,
absolutely. And I think you always talk about, you really want to score your first corner, or you really want to score a certain percentage of corners. So to have one corner and score it is very nice. You don't need a sighter. You don't need to do one to kind of get a feel for kind of what they're doing and stuff. If you can just rip the first one and it goes side netting, it's always a lovely feeling as well. And hopefully, just as you saw, the lads kind of settling into the game after the first goal, and always going to be the case after goal 1. You either have to then start going flying if it's an ESM goal, or in this case Uddingston getting on the score sheet and actually allowing Uddingston to probably just settle into that game a little bit more and probably take a couple more risks to then go, actually we've got another opportunity to score here. And we saw that very, very closely with a couple of minutes with Ben Young.
And Jack, you certainly see from that goal, and from reward first for the chances and the hard work, but also then certain dissipation of nerves and a chance to basically get the ball down and play. And obviously, we said ESM were going to come back into a little bit of resistance to that, and then take the game by the scruff of the neck in the final couple of minutes there.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of tactics from Uddingston, I think it was a good quarter. Like you said, lots of chances. But when we were tested in a couple of occasions, they kept on strong at the back, which you have to have a good balance of, obviously. So, yeah, good quarter.
And, a chance as well, we're going to hear from Ali Condi, normally in the booth as well. But today, slightly different duties for you, Ali, and back on regular social media duties. So we're kept you free for Saturday. It must be nice to be able to actually do what you're here to do normally, rather than me interrupting you every 2 seconds.
No, it's wet. It's wet outside. Usually I'm nice and dry. No, it's nice to be at the side. The ladies' ones are down watching, so got good company down at the side, having a good wee time. But yeah, we'll see everything going up on our socials. Got the highlight of the goal as well there, uploaded as well. So obviously, as always, Uddidy Hockey on all our socials. An exciting week upcoming for us as well, with World Gaelic Week, or Erskine na Gaelic, starting Monday, this Monday coming actually. Lots of really exciting things we've filmed over the past couple of weeks. Some fun challenges, a couple of chances to learn a couple of hockey related terms as well in Gaelic. Yeah, very exciting week upcoming.
Yeah, been keeping you very busy, and yeah, Thursday night against Glasgow Uni should be a particularly fun one. Yeah,
good game. Different opportunity for me, commentary in Gaelic. It'll be a nice wee challenge for myself, but hopefully good to follow along. Obviously, there's no need to have any Gaelic knowledge. A lot of the terms can be the same, and I'm sure also for the most part you'll be able to work out what's going on live. So it'll be good to have as many people on Thursday night to kind of have a bit of a special broadcast as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ali. Let you enjoy the rest of quarter 3, quarter 4, and as you say, everyone who's watching here today, one, thank you very much for tuning in. Two, if you're not already following the social media channels, as Ali says, at Uddy Hockey, please go give us a follow and say hello to Ali, who's working hard today. Don't worry, I won't dob you in at the little face pull of like, I'm fine, I'm fine. They're working hard. He does. And speaking of working hard, well, quarter 3, quarter 4 await us. It's the second half almost ready. And for Uddingston, I guess it's more just keep ramping that tempo up, as we said. And ESM, it's been dogged, it's been hard work. Just a little bit more efficacy going forward, Gareth, as they hold control in kind of defensive middle phases, just trying to turn that into something more significant at the top end of the pitch.
Yeah, and as we saw kind of towards the back end, ESM spending a little bit more time in this build-up phase, keeping the ball around the back, kind of shifting, waiting for the opportunities to open up rather than forcing it. So yeah, they'll definitely be looking to kind of do more of that. And as we saw, they were getting opportunities in the circle. Big thing for them would be how do you convert those opportunities into like really good goal-scoring opportunities, be it winning corners, and we've seen them obviously with a couple of corners in that first half, and one just whistling past the post and one a good bit of defensive work. So they'll be kind of buoyed with they've had opportunities, and it'll be a case of actually how do they start to create more of those, and how do they start to create more and better opportunities.
Focus, though, at the moment will have to be on more of the defensive responsibilities. The pass driven through the heart, though ESM can regather. It is shunted out to the near right, but out of play. And for Uddingston, now, quarter 3, an opportunity to really stamp some authority, some control over this one, prevent the nerves, as we saw if you missed the top of the broadcast, how the guys got on an indoor. I'm sure Steve McKenzie will be desperate to avoid a repeat of the nail biter they had at Gala Day.
Indeed, but I think he'd also enjoy scoring the winner again as well if that opportunity ever arose in outdoor.
Oh dear. He'll kill me if I call another goal a tap in. I think
I think everybody that saw the highlights reel there realised an empty goal, a 1 yard out. I think everybody will call a tap in.
Look, I think once he saw it back, he was very happy to call it that. But until he did, he had a difference of opinion, shall we say? Yes, put themselves in a little bit of bother occasionally trying to play out. This time, able to hold and now move from centre to left. Down the channel, a bit of chasing for Callum Darragh to do. Good recovery. Campbell trying to break his way out and get the chance to.
I think what we've just seen there, we've just seen a change in Uddingston's press. So as we identified a couple of aerials from the ESM in the first half, in particular on this, what was near hand side is now going to be left hand side being over there. So actually pressing onto that side, so the person who's with the aerial, if they are still playing in their left half position, which they are, actually putting them under pressure so they're not able to chuck that ball, which then means everything down that channel is going to be on the floor, which then makes it slightly easier to defend, and you can put more pressure on the ball carrier to them. If they do then look to deliver, there's then more pressure in those pockets rather than having to run backwards for the aerial.
Campbell is Uddy. Go from the far side the right to near side the left, and now can't quite work its way to Wilson. Darragh called back into defensive duty, can do his part in the turnover. Wilson and crashing down the right side and able to lift that through towards Strachan. Just whisked away from him.
Yeah, such a vital touch there by the ESM defender. Otherwise, you had an Uddingston player just at the top of the circle with quite a bit of space to be able to generate a very good shot, a very strong shot towards goal. So such a fine margin there, but a nice little touch to be able to take that away from him.
ESM do seem to, well, I was going to say keep a bit more possession this third quarter, just gave it away there.
Must be something, Gareth. We're kind of happy to see that Uddy tempo doesn't need to be high, just needs to be in control.
Yeah, when you've got that 1-0 advantage, obviously you want to start looking at how you just make the game a little bit more safe and try and create the second opportunity. You haven't got to try and force things now, and you can actually control this game in a little bit more of a measured manner rather than maybe the high tempo start that we saw from Uddingston in quarter one in particular.
Chance here for the ESM to gain that possession, get the ball up the pitch. Is it now a case of looking at some more long balls to try and break that Uddy defence?
Again, very, very different methods to look to break him down. As we've seen, there's been a couple of long balls from ESM now that have just gone straight to an Uddingston defender. I think if you're looking long, you've got to think about your angles a little bit more, and ESM is just, if they're getting it to the sideline and just playing kind of straight, if they start to look more towards like angles into the space, into the kind of somebody in the middle, then that's where potential different opportunities are opening up. At the moment is very much, we'll get the ball to the width, we'll then look to play long down the line, and Uddingston are reading that very well and being able to get those people in those kind of positions. So from an ESM perspective, maybe not necessarily you don't have to ditch the long ball, but actually can the long ball be played from on an angled ball instead of it just being a straight ball down the sideline.
Jake Campbell now running forward like he loves to do.
Nearly a little bit of a defensive calamity there by ESM. Goalkeeper coming out. A little bit.
You were ready to jump on that, Gareth. I was, as soon as I saw the keeper there, I thought, here we go. Keeper's opinion, here we go.
A goalkeeper would never talk about another goalkeeper. But no, again, recognised the space well, but actually nearly wormed its way through for a bit of an open net, and that would have been a tap-in.
Strachan's eyes must have been lighting up there. Is it a little bit of a shoulder collision with the goalkeeper, but could have been still nearly a tap-in for him.
Now, would that have been one of those tap-ins that he would have argued that was a screamer, and then on video review would have been happy to have called it a tap-in, or?
I think there's a different kind of setup for that, which is, I out-muscled the goalkeeper. I was, big, strong guy, pushed him around, bullied him off the ball. Just a little bit of bite in midfield is again, it's becoming a bit of a recurring theme for them that the opening comes in the dangerous part of the pitch but breaks down.
And again, as we mentioned, like ESM every now and again reverting that slightly shorter play, and as we saw there, actually 2 or 3 very nice little connected passes, and it was just the touch on that final one, that pick up from the final one, that just kind of ran away from him a little bit, that then actually made it slightly easier to defend. But if he was able to control that, actually it was a lovely little bit of play to build up into that opportunity. It was just that final execution in that critical moment, and this is what this game's starting to come down to. It's starting to come down to these little critical moments. How good is your trap under pressure? How good is your passing under pressure? And the longer it stays now in this 1-0, ESM will still think they've got an opportunity to get back into this game. Uddingston thinking about controlling this game a little bit more. How do they create that second goal just to take the sting out of ESM a little bit?
McNeil just runs out of road. Couple of good opportunities there for Uddingston at the edge of the D.
Yeah, an opportunity that came from the passing the back between the two centre backs. We did talk about how bringing that ESM team forward, and it did nearly work there. ESM now looking to break that defence. Nearly through, but good defending.
And we talked about those longer balls on angles as an opportunity for ESM to break this down, and as we saw there, taking it onto the reverse suddenly, and a lovely post up from the ESM forward in front of the Uddingston defence. That's where that opportunity was created from. So I don't know if they're watching this live stream live in the bench, but
you're not taking credit, are you?
No, I wouldn't do such a thing.
Campbell trying to just box his way out of this corner. Just about kept it into the eyes of the umpires and co.
And as we mentioned a couple of times in this quarter, like Uddingston, quarter 1, quarter 2 was very much high tempo. How do we get this ball moving as quickly as we can? It's very, very measured now, as we saw from that 16. Just taking their time, getting set, getting their structures in place to then be able to just allow to build up from there, and just taking a little bit of time off the clock, but just allowing Uddingston to be that little bit more controlled.
Loose passes gained, ESM possession. We'll see what we can do with this now. Nothing came of it though.
Wicked Gardner, just good little bit of stick skill to win a little bit of room, but can't quite hold on to himself. A little bit of miscue from Haxton now. The door for ESM, runs on. ESM driven ball into the area. Ooh. Another one that just needed that telling touch from quarter 1 to quarter 3. Gareth are still finding those driven opportunities.
Yeah, and I think that's the first time that ESM have been in that kind of high platform attack for a long while. So actually to one pass looked to be a bit more direct to circle, and actually nearly paid off with that deflection on the backhand coming through, with somebody peeling away from that left-hand side of the circle into that space and managing to get away from their defenders. And this where these kind of situations are where Uddingston just needs to switch on that little bit more. In those kind of deep defence environments, actually, if you're going to play the man-to-man system which Uddingston are, you've got to be shirt tight to that attacker. Otherwise, little opportunities like that just start to spring and give ESM that glimmer of hope to be able to get themselves back into this game.
Oh, Louis Gardner, won't call him lucky there, but it did get the bounce of the ball a couple of times to lose, regain, and lose and regain. Can't quite feed anything further forward. Russell, his turn now. Andrew Doherty. Kennedy finding most success down the right, and Doherty leading the charge this time. Into the D he goes, trying to spin and find something. It'll bounce its way through, but it's against Doherty the call.
Promising attack there, just came to nothing. Nearly got the turn off from Doherty.
At least man for man, what we're seeing is a lot of really aggressive step into the challenge from some of the Uddingston players. And I'm not afraid to go and try and mix it and really just dirty the play a little bit in terms of trying to win possession, but also slow down the play, frustrate ESM. That when they try and get comfortable playing out, there's someone that's going to be breathing down their neck very soon.
Yeah, I don't know whether dirty in the play is maybe the right
term. Just muddying it. Sorry, that's muddying is the correct term. I don't mean dirty as in like without thought of the rules. There's another opening for Uddingston. No, only noises the keeper. I thought he just a little bit too casual there with the play.
Yeah, and that's kind of the second thing in this quarter. The goalie's been, I suppose, fortunate with how it's ultimately played off.
Quite an even quarter so far as we reach the final stages. How does this change the game for ESM? Oh, Jack.
That's fine, too many letters in the line. If he stays at 1-0, which we'll just wait for this.
They sweeps in. Oh, look at Gardner. The man on the spot, but it just a little bit too quick for him and defender.
Yeah, to go back to your question there, Jack, I think it's, again, stays at 1-0 going into the final quarter. From an ESM perspective, you're sitting there going, got an opportunity to still get something out of this game. It's still quite close. And as you said, a bit more of an even quarter, especially these latter stages. So they'll definitely be optimistic with creating the opportunities, and maybe it's a case of they start to take a couple more risks a bit later on into quarter four, just to try and unlock this Uddingston press and this Uddingston defence.
Uddingston unable to attack there. Put it back on, trying to find something. Unable to.
Couple of big loud bellows there from Jed Campbell, stepping up and trying to force things. Is Uddingston just not quite putting it together in these last couple of minutes. Frustration a little bit growing. Seen a shout there as well from Halliday in the minute prior. Just a sense perhaps for, I guess, Steve McKenzie and all the guys in blue and yellow today that with a chance growing, you need to start making these count. Campbell rumbling his way through, trying to find a way past the keeper. Another chance to now. just a saying, you need to try and make these chances count, because when they start disappearing, that's when the frustration will start to rise. And not for the first time today, just a tip of the hat to myself on that one. But you call things and then they start to happen. Fantastic, yeah.
I know, it's great when you're on commentary and those kind of things start to happen, isn't it? But
so Uddingston scored the short corner. Let's just preface that then with that with that nice thing put out.
But yeah, again, Jed picking it up just outside the 25, and instead of looking for an option, actually just looking to carry direct to circle. Actually did get a shot off, saved by the goalkeeper, and then ultimately either a case of it was a stick tackle or it hit a defender's foot or something for the corner. Let's see how this quarter three finishes off.
Oh, they'll send in for Campbell. Good parry from the keeper. Campbell looks to take another go at this. Dancing at the edge of the D, that'll be forced behind.
Unable to score from that short corner there, but a good attempt, and like Gordon said, a good parry from the keeper as we reach the end of quarter three.
Yeah, I think Jed will probably be a little bit disappointed with that flick. That was kind of, I think, as we call it from a goalkeeping point of view, middle. So kind of as a goalkeeper, you have not had to move your feet. It's just kind of straight at you. So it does become quite a comfortable save. Like obviously, if you compare it to his first flick, which was kind of more side netting, I think you definitely preferred the first one again rather than that one.
Yeah, middle. One of those you. If you let in a few at your time, you're pulling a face that makes you think there's been one or two that have slipped past you.
Cannot comment at all whether a middle has gone in.
Heartbreaker, that one. Oh dear. But, like we say, 1-0 up and approaching quarter four. We said there was an element of today where tension pressure will ratchet and set up potentially a barnstorming in quarter four. I still think there are signs, perhaps less so that we saw in quarter three, but still signs that we'll get a little bit of that in quarter four. ESM know their fate, know what's happening, but I've made a really good fist of today, and I'm sure they'll be disappointed to leave with nothing if that's the way it plays out. Uddingston, I think we made note of in quarter three there, a little bit of frustration starting to grow at the fact that it is only 1-0. They want that second goal, that little bit of cushion, and a little bit of safety.
You can see that at the end of the quarter as well. At that corner, I think Jed was on the ball, and I believe it was Finn that was asking for the ball. Whether he was in a delivery option or whether a goal scoring option, I think Jed potentially looking a little bit more direct, and then there was just a bit of a conversation between the two of them after. But this is where actually you've got 17.5 minutes. Like, don't kind of beat yourself up as a team. It's actually how do you guys connect now? How does the team come together to be able, in this last 17.5, go and get that second goal, kill the game off? Because at this moment in time, one ESM goal takes that win to a draw at this moment in time. So ESM will be kind of happy with how the scoreline is at the moment in terms of it's not 2, it's not 3, because Uddingston have certainly had the opportunities to do that. But as we just kind of start quarter four now, it'd be interesting to see if there's any tactical changes from the two teams going into this final quarter, or whether it's more mindset based.
Is that something that weighs in your mind, just as we're speaking about how ESM will feel about this? That for me, from more of a spectator mindset, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, to me they're the same end result, goal difference notwithstanding, but a loss is a loss. Would you rather get punished going to try and turn a 1-0 into 1-1, or is the goal sit stifle and try and rely on those counter-attacks to generate something for yourself?
I think if you look at the league table, and obviously, as we saw at the start, and I believe with Dundee obviously beating Clydesdale earlier, Dundee then go above ESM, so ESM are kind of looking at, I suppose, the other end of the table and kind of looking over their shoulder with Kelburn and Grove kind of sitting just behind them. So actually any points that they can gain from this game would be a benefit into that second half once the split happens. So I think it's in this situation. I can't remember what the goal difference situation was between the teams, but I think if you've got the opportunity to go and get at least a point out of the game, if it stays like this for another 5-10 minutes, then maybe you start to be a little bit more direct and a little bit more adventurous in the attacking end.
It's everything I was thinking, Gareth. Everything I was thinking.
It's like we've done this together a while.
And yes, trying to enact that what we expect of them in terms of trying to force something they know top 6 might be beyond them. There are other concerns, and while this game is tight, we're desperate to keep it so in the defensive end and force the issue at the top, and they've done one half of that job just there. Certainly a trait we're seeing. I think especially, I don't know if it's just perhaps, the eye test says you notice this more often as ESM on the break. We'll put a pin in that for now. Trying to force something towards Hadlin's goal that'll run out of play. But just going back to that, I don't know if it's, let's say, the eye test. I just watch and you pick out the things that draw your eye. But both Max, Ben, and there's a couple of others that really like to snap into a challenge, especially in the forward area. I guess perhaps there's less thought to defensive responsibility and more, let me just step up on it and let me force the issue.
Yeah, and I think this is where, so the guys that
coach chat back on, here we go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is where I spoke as though you've just kind of pulled out two of the younger members of the squad, and I think it's one of those, I suppose, as you get older, you probably go more defensive in terms of a mindset. So actually to have that blend of a little bit of, I say experience, I'm sure like Stephen McKenzie and Jed will probably not like me calling them experienced at the age of like 21, 22, but in this squad that's what they are, they're the experienced heads, and like kind of Max, Ben in that kind of 16, 17 kind of age bracket, actually allowing them to probably be a little bit more free and kind of go and explore, obviously still within some confinements of structure, but actually more in terms of if you see the opportunity, you just go and take it.
It's Callum trying to push down his right side, and now Strachan is going to do well to keep that one alive. It just runs beyond him.
So unlucky there. Another promising attack started off from the back. We've seen a few moments of that in this game, playing from the back, and then within a couple of seconds they are close to goal. No gather by Steve McKenzie.
And as we kind of mentioned, what are ESM going to divert to kind of in this final quarter, and as we've seen kind of in the last minute, there's been a couple of long balls, obviously one kind of going through, Cammy diving and not being able to get a touch. So it's kind of how they look to be the direct, and again, as we saw, Stephen just picking that one up there when it was straight down the line. So it's just, again, going back to kind of some of the earlier conversations we had, how did they look to play that long ball, which they clearly like to play, but actually be a bit more threatening with it, whether it's on an angle or whether it's a shorter connection first, to then change the approach to then go long on a different perspective.
Chance for Strachan to feed forward. Spears can't quite get the outcome. He's through this lightning attacks. He's sort of finding the best outcomes.
ESM, they're just trying to play it a little bit quickly. They hadn't allowed their right half to get up there, and just trickles off the sideline for an Uddingston sideline ball here. So you see ESM trying to change the tempo of the game, trying to be a little bit quicker if they notice the opportunity, notice the space to be able to go down it. And this is where, as a team, you've all got to be on the same hymn sheet, and you've got to be able to, if you see the space, you've got to be the person in it, potentially. So yeah, you can definitely see ESM trying to play a little bit more front foot hockey in this final quarter.
Body not sitting down to that at all. You maybe say that the faster the game's getting from ESM, Uddy have been responding to that and going even quicker.
Yeah, and as we saw, I think Uddingston are quite happy to play at a slightly quicker tempo. That's obviously where they were in kind of quarter one and early stages of quarter two before they got their corner, and now they're a little bit more measured. But I think if ESM are trying to ramp up that tempo of the game a little bit, I think Uddingston will be quite happy to play this game a little bit quicker if needs be.
Kenzie and Campbell just exchanging passes before finding McNeil on the right. A chance for him to try and cut inside and force the issue.
Melville tries to make something but unable to. Back we go and we go again.
Yeah, last few circle entries from Uddingston here, being in that kind of right baseline kind of position, looking to then deliver across goal, as we've seen. Uddingston definitely favouring that right hand side, and now it's that kind of actually driving through or playing through that kind of right baseline space, see if they can get a touch and just open up that goal for a second one.
Good ball into the centre there. They're creating space.
Just breaks down in the front of Spears and then Strachan. Again, trying to press forward and interrupt things for Uddingston against ESM's attempt to, like you see, Gareth inject a little bit more momentum into this, a little bit more pace. I know they need it.
And again, another long ball there from ESM, but this time a little bit more angled, so from right to centre rather than right down the line. And again, ESM forwards just jumping in front of Uddingston defenders to, again, not quite the cleanest of touches in that situation, but we're starting to see those angles open up that little bit more in ESM's favour on the ball.
A bit of a slash attempt at a clearance from Lee Gardner, but he's able with teammates to smuggle this one away. Big aerial from McGregor. Just tees up another wave from Red, but that's a loose ball, opens the door. Strachan. Now Halliday gonna have to hold for support.
Spears making a run at the back post. Positive there from Uddingston, though, even though the goal wasn't scored, they were facing a bit of pressure down at their defence and they were still able to get it up and create a chance of their own. Well intercepted there.
Trim ball across the face of the D, not what Hadlin will be wanting to be seeing at this stage of the game, but defenders, Haxton in particular there, busting a gut to try and protect him. Faced across again.
So close there for ESM.
And this was starting to get very nervous indeed for Erskine. Just the one goal in it, the one goal that's keeping them, as it stands anyway, with a place in top six, as we understand things. It could disappear oh so quickly.
Loose pass there. But Campbell able to gain possession again.
Just getting a little bit frantic now. The pass is not quite finding the market. Just the right moment still. Halliday trying to be the one that can force things. Luca Gardner could leave the opening. Halliday again. Deflected shot cleared.
Another good save from the ESM keeper. Still struggling with that one, but we'll get there.
Don't worry, just say Erskine, Stewart's, Melville 3 times fast.
Oh,
You'll be grand.
That'll fix the problem.
I think I'll stick to ESM, thank you.
Uddingston again, wasteful, trying to force it in the D. Quick on the turnover, Campbell. Just a push lateral, Wilson, feed this in. Halliday, first thought is a strike at goal, and ESM keeper will try and play a return to sender.
I think in that situation for Finn, I think it's when you're in that kind of right baseline position, it's going to be hard to get a good goal scoring opportunity from that position. If anything, you're more likely to look and, as we saw kind of earlier on in the quarter, play that ball across the face of goal, really open it up for people to run onto and get that touch. And as we just saw there, ESM again on this right hand side, starting to open that angle up, that diagonal ball. from right to centre rather than just right down the line, and it's really starting to open it up a little bit here.
There's part of me thinking as Finn hit that one, there's a little bit of the cannonball approach. If I just hit it really hard and force the keeper to try and do something, or force the defender, you open up opportunities from that, like you say. But when you're a forward and you're desperate for goals, you can't blame them for trying to take it on.
Oh, I mean, any forward in the circle will claim that any shot towards goal is a positive, and was the best option at the time. So it's just, I think, sometimes just recognising where you are in the circle, and actually a delivery to a teammate in a better position might be the better option rather than just trying to get something off towards goal.
CSM starting to ask questions again. Trying to push on down the right, but again, Graham Haxton, who's been rotated on and put himself on about and right at the heart of some of the good defensive work Uddingston's had. Kept himself busy as Haxton. Another chance to try and start something, ideally away from where he's doing his work.
Yeah. I kind of entered the last 5 minutes of the game, and this is where ESM are really going to start thinking about rolling the dice if they want to get anything out of this game. As you can see, they're starting to press a bit higher, starting to be a little bit more in the face of the Uddingston defence, and it's just starting to allowing, I suppose, Uddingston to try and play these longer balls, and they're starting to get picked off. But as we just saw there,
it's Jay Campbell, who again does great work to recover the pass he misplaced in the first place. He's going to have to do a little bit more now because of that. Ben Young trying to fight for it. Draws the umpire's attention, and ESM go for the aerial. They go over the top but can't find their man. Young, just play hockey, the shout from Coach Tom. He's trying to settle nerves there a bit.
Not to overcomplicate things when the pressure is on. Like Tom said, just play hockey.
Ben Young absolutely making a terrier of himself in the middle of the park there to keep a hold of that one.
I think in that situation, obviously Ben wanting to go quick and exploit the spacing behind, that's probably one where I think the rest of the team were like, just actually, we weren't in position, we weren't in shape. Actually, that's the one that, just to kill the game off a little bit, you look to slow it down and allow your defenders to come up, which means as a high mid that Ben is, a high mid forward, you can start to get yourself into the circle rather than be one carrying from halfway line.
Strachan trying to tee up McNeil. Oh,
he's unlucky.
That was a big opening. Did all the hard work, did Strachan down the right hand side and driving in. It's just that final ball that didn't quite pan out. Final few minutes. Now the heart rate going. It's been a game that Uddingston for a chunk of time have had control of the scoreboard and not always control on the pitch. With the quantity of chances, especially in quarter two, deservedly in the lead now. In these final moments, just have to make sure of it. Gardner, get it back. Side to Wilson. Uddingston trying to pick the moment, but the pass through to McNeil. Can't keep it under his spell.
Tension's high. Nerves are high. But just a case for Uddingston to keep doing what we've been doing. Don't overcomplicate things.
As you see, Uddingston drop into that half-court press, protect the circle, protect the goal as much as you can in these open closing couple of minutes. But that also then invites ESM higher up the pitch and allows them to just get into more a more threatening goal-scoring position. But
it's perhaps a situation that Ben Young doesn't mind either. Chance to carry ball forward and run against stretch defence, then with a bit of space, and he finds a route forward there. Just a reminder again for those watching the clock, obviously our time's not synced to the umpires, so don't expect as soon as it hits 17:30 that will be that. Do our best to keep you up to date and in the loop. More or less on the dot, though this time is umpires blow full time in this one. It is a gritty win. A hard-fought win for Uddingston. But one on the balance of play they probably deserve, Gareth.
Yeah, I think Uddingston definitely had more of the chances, a couple of short corners apiece in that game. But I think in the grand scheme of things, number of open play opportunities was definitely in Uddingston's favour. The balanced play. ESM definitely looked stronger in that final quarter as they look to try and get that goal to get themselves A, on the score sheet, but B, looking them to take some points away from this game. They started to control that game a little bit more in the final quarter from an ESM perspective, but ultimately kind of saw out by Uddingston in a crucial 1-0 win in that kind of fight for top six, which, as you kind of alluded to at the top of the programme, that actually we now believe that is potentially top six secured, depending on results elsewhere.
Signed, sealed, delivered, as we understand it. Let's take a look at the goal that separates the two teams. That I don't want to do the game a disservice and say the one moment of real quality in it, but certainly the standout moment of the game.
Absolutely, and as we talked about, Jed is a good flicking option, and as we just saw there, post person just ducking on the line there, number 3, which then allows that space into the top part of the circle. In these situations, goalie does tend to offset to the right, just so the runner can block off that left-hand side of the goal, and as we can see here, actually this might be a bit clearer from a goalkeeper perspective. Offset to the right, opens up the space, and with the postie kind of ducking down as it is, just opens up that kind of net space, and Jed's done really well to execute that.
Can you have any complaints about the postie not delivering there? Sorry, that came into my head and I couldn't not say it.
No, I think it'll be one of those. I think again, ESM potentially have done their work, and their post players probably expected a low flick. Because as you saw, it's not a case of he's ducked out the way of that. It's a case of he's low, he's expecting a low flick, and he would have been in a good position to clear that. And that's the hard thing as a postie. Sometimes you have to stay high thinking they're going to flick high, but if you know and you've got an idea that they're going to flick low, then actually there's no harm in doing that. But in that situation, he's predicted low and it's gone high.
It's a disappointing one for ESM. It marks as they also reach their part of the split now as well. A real tough campaign for them, and wish them all the best as that continues for them. For Uddingston, well, first half of the job done. We wanted top six. Top six has been done. Gareth, not to keep the pressure on you, but that's one of the firsts in top six. A little bit of work for the L1s to do, but hoping to follow suit.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's obviously our aim. Obviously, Glasgow Uni on Thursday night. That's when we kind of restart our outdoor programme and our outdoor campaign, as it were. That'll be an interesting fixture. We played them in a pre-season friendly way back in September. It was my first game at the helm. And again, we had quite a few players that were unavailable. So it's kind of the first game, so understanding tactics and processes and being potentially a bit different from previous years. So we're now more settled into that, and obviously, again, talking about indoor, we've had the indoor spell to then be able to kind of, I suppose, build ourselves back together as a squad and kind of keep that momentum through, not have that break over Christmas. And I think the girls are definitely raring and ready to go. Another training session on Tuesday, but definitely 7:15 pushback down here will be an exciting one. If you can obviously make it down in person, it'll be great to have your support. But if not, then obviously jump on the live stream and you can hear Gordon's lovely voice again.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, if you haven't already, you can follow our social media channels. We've got them up on screen right now, at Uddy Hockey, Facebook, Instagram, X or Twitter, depending on how you feel about it today, and TikTok as well. Ali working very hard on TikTok, so please go give him some love across on that one. We are back next Thursday, as UDDY TV will return for this outdoor season, back amongst it, and so will UDDY TV for that. So thank you very much for joining us for all this. Thank you, Jack, for your part in today. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of this today.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks for having me again, and hopefully we'll be back soon. It's definitely falling in love with hockey now. So yeah, Thank you.
We'll put,
Fantastic,
we'll put a stick in his hand at some point and he can come to a training session.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Gareth, for your part in it. I know obviously the next couple of weeks are going to be a little bit busier for you, but I'm sure we'll find the time to have a chat here and there.
Absolutely, and it's one of those, always got to be up for the challenge. Like I said, hopefully we can get the job done, but we've got 4 games over the next 2 weeks, 3 in the league, 1 in the cup, so it's an exciting time for the ladies side, and obviously the gents next week, Glasgow Uni away in the Plate, so it's definitely all systems go now that the outdoor season's kicked back off again.
Well, thank you to all of you for tuning in to this as well. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us today. Clear run at Hadley to Parry. Campbell will just strike, so still strikes it from the back of the net.